right? We have to build our own. And so they told me, look, you can do this to the extent of we being the first Ghanaian company to build flyover in this country. It's amazing. You get what I'm saying? It's amazing. I'm a product of the system. All right, the system trained me, and I acknowledge that. Okay, and I'm training a lot of young engineers from tech. Okay, so every vacation they come here. I have more than 10 young school, university students who are learning engineering. And I train them.
You hear the chairman of Oswald Investments Limited, Humphrey Williams, there. Let's go back to court where the trial or the National Democratic Congress parliamentary candidate for Asin North, Judge Equason, is expected today to move a motion to the High Court to review a daily order. Now, he must appear in court every day for the hearing of his trial, and he's there today for the court to rescind its decision. Hanson Ajiman is our court correspondent, and he joins us over the phone lines to tell us more. Hanson, thanks for joining us. Has the case started, and who are those in court?
Well, the case is yet to be called. However, the court is packed to full capacity. Now, this is a case that we've been following for some time now. We've not seen that kind of attendance as far as this case is concerned. So there are a lot of people in the courtroom, and so some of the lawyers and the prosecutors are even forced to stand outside. There's currently a case ongoing, but usually you'll get some empty space within the courtroom. But with respect to events leading to today's hearing, the case actually has gotten a great bit of attention. Now, Judge Christian himself, he is in court. He's supported by some known members of the National Democratic Congress. Now, we know that the Member of Parliament for North Tongue, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, is here in court. He's also here with a lawyer, Chachi Chikata. Again, he's also here with former Attorney General Marietta Brio, also the running mate for John Dramani Mahama in the 2020 general election, is also here in court. And also the team from the prosecution side is well packed today. But the case itself is yet to be called. But I must say that a lot of people are here at the High Court to witness proceedings today, considering that Judge Equason had previously made an appeal to the court to stay proceedings until the final determination of the matter. Now, not only was that plea rejected by the court, a request by the state for the case to be heard on a daily basis have been agreed. What this means is that the case having started today, for every working day, the case would be called. And so what some are perceiving is that even on the day of the election on June 27, the case may be called and he may be compelled to be in Accra for the sitting while and a by-election, which he has interest in, will be ongoing in his home constituency, that is Asin North. And so reason we've seen again another application to the court for a variation of the ruling of the court the other time. If the case is called, we'll get to know what exactly the arguments are and whether or not the state will oppose to this application that has been moved by lawyers of James Judge Equason. But essentially, he's seeking a variation of the court orders so that the court will not sit daily, except of the application that we've seen. He's made the argument that during the arguments on the motion for stay of proceedings, the Attorney General made certain arguments which, in the view and opinion of his lawyers, is prejudicial to his case. Believe that it actually pronounces their client guilty and goes against the principle that all accused persons shall be deemed innocent until proven guilty. Again, they believe that the day-to-day, the daily hearing of the matter will not help, considering the fact that their client is in a way contesting for the Asin North parliamentary by-election. They make the argument and they maintain that this is a national assignment, making the analysis that this is an election to get Asin North a member of parliament who essentially have been without substantial representation since the 2020 general election, because right after the election, on the day of swearing in, and since then, Judge Payson had been inundated with court proceedings. And so, first, he has not been able to give some form of substantial representation to the people of Asin North because of that. Secondly, even before the court came to final determination of the matter, he was asked to step aside. And so, for months, Asin North had no representation. And then the final determination of the matter came to remove their only representative that they had in the legislature. And so he's saying that this is a crucial national assignment that anybody who is playing a role should be given the opportunity to take part in, since we have a democracy that is built on representation. And as a result of that, he is of the view that the order for, or the ruling for the case to be heard on day-to-day basis should be changed. And we are hoping that the case will be called, the application most likely will be moved, and we'll hear from the state. We are yet to get from the state their stance on this application. But mind you, it was the Attorney General Godfrey Dame who last week actually prayed the court to make the case, to hear the case on a day-to-day basis. According to Godfrey Dame, when he moved this motion, it is important that the trial is done in a speedy manner to bring justice. And he thinks that hearing the case daily will be able to bring justice. And so, even though we are yet to hear from the Attorney General whether they oppose this new application as brought by lawyers of James Jati Payson, we must state on record that he actually moved and made the argument and prayer to the court, for which the court granted the motion for it to be heard on a daily basis.
Hanson, we're very grateful for that update. Do stay in court with us, and we will update our listeners in our subsequent bulletins. Hanson Ajuman is our court correspondent. You're still listening to the Citi Prime News live on 97.3 Citi FM. Still to come, Ghana Navy receives 2 high-speed boundary class ships from the United States of America to boost its maritime law enforcement mandate. We'll bring you the details shortly. Do stay.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
Using a condom will protect you and your partner from HIV, STIs, and unplanned pregnancy. Condoms are an effective way for protection against HIV infection. Don't take risks. Use a condom every time. Always come prepared.
This advert is brought to you by the Ghana AIDS Commission and Ghana Health Service.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back to the Citi Prime News. Let's do some more stories. The Ghana Navy has received 2 high-speed boundary class ships from the United States of America to boost its maritime law enforcement mandate. Speaking to Citi News at the delivery of the 2 class ships by a U.S. vessel at the Takoradi Harbor, the flag officer commanding of the Western Naval Command, Commodore Emmanuel Kwafo, said the vessels will add to their capacity to fight against armed robbery at sea, piracy, illegal bunkering, drug and human trafficking, and protection of Ghana's fisheries resources. City News' Akwesia Anim has more.
The two high-speed boundary classic ships arrived at the Takoradi Harbour on board the Ocean Giant vessel. The vessels, which took a while to be launched, each came with a boat and have maximum speed of 25 knots. The U.S. Naval Attaché to Ghana, Commander Carlton McLean, who handed over the two class ships to Ghana, said Ghana's Navy plays a critical role in maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea. Hence, the vessels are to strengthen Ghana's regional maritime security and defense capabilities.
I would like to present from the United States these vessels for the strengthening of the Ghana regional maritime defense. Ghana is most important, and especially important, in regional security for the Gulf of Guinea and for West Africa. The Gulf of Guinea, I don't want to belabor the point, but is important from a world perspective in terms of trade throughout, and we would like to present these vessels to you, sir, to the Ghana Navy, and we thank the leadership of your country for this partnership.
The flag officer commanding Western Naval Command, Commodore Emmanuel Ayensu Kwafo, said the vessels will give a huge boost to Ghana Navy's inventory for maritime security.
It's going to help us a lot. It's going to help in fighting piracy, fighting illegal fishing, safety of life at sea, drug law enforcement, marine pollution. We're going to fight, going to protect the oil fields, and it's going to help us in all our numerous jobs that we do at sea. And we are very grateful for the partnership from the U.S. And we're going to use that to strengthen security in the Gulf of Guinea for the benefit of all those who ply the Gulf of Guinea.
Commodore Emmanuel Ayensu Kwafo further told City News the two boundary class ships would be named GNS Aflao and GNS Hafasni.
That report was filed by City News' Akwesi Ejay Enim.
Now, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Health Insurance Authority, Dr. Bernard Okuboy, has called on some stakeholders to stop politicizing the scheme. According to him, this act discourages Ghanaians from patronizing the services of the scheme because a negative perception has been created about the program. Speaking on the City Breakfast Show, Dr. Bernard Okuboy advised that efforts should rather be geared towards improving the services of the scheme to improve healthcare delivery in the country.
Unfortunately, the National Health Insurance has been a tool that has been used in political circles for long. When one particular government is in opposition, party is in opposition, sometimes they try to paint a picture. They amplify the challenges of the scheme to win the hearts of people. And when they come, virtually, either they do the same thing, do not tackle the real issues, or even it gets worse. Let me say that I have heard political figures say that, the insurance has collapsed. But this morning, you will come to Lekma Hospital, there's a woman receiving cesarean section, and she's using a car. You go to the hospital in Accra, people are being treated. When I was working there, these days that is tough to go to the hospital. I see patients, I treat them for hypertension, diabetes. All their medicines are covered by the card. They don't pay anything, go home. And yet, we say that it's failed. That is not to say they are not challenging. This morning at 11, I am meeting the CEOs of all teaching hospitals, Director General of Ghana Health Service. We have formed a committee called Illegal Charges or Co-Payments Committee, which has gone around the country to look at the charges that some hospitals make despite people having the card. And guess what? Before they brought me the report, some hospitals actually refunded the money they took. Some hospitals engage in their behavior because they assume that nobody is watching. I'm being honest and frank with you. What I'm doing this morning is for us as leaders to take charge. I am going to charge all the leaders to make sure that they are responsible for what happens down there. Because you go to Guasu, A government hospital there is charging for some procedure. You come to Kintampo, another government hospital is not charging. So once there is arbitrary behavior, it means that the top has not rationalized or has not taken charge. And that is what we are doing this morning. And Bernard, before the end of the year, and I'm going to tell them this morning, some hospitals will be decredentialed by us. Decredential means that we will take away their credentials. They cannot see anybody in the card. And guess what? Any hospital that is decredentialed, I will not be surprised to go for chiefs to come and beg. 80% of all hospitals in Ghana survive with national health insurance. When we withdraw their license, they cannot operate. Bernard, the IGF of 80% of all hospitals in Ghana, as of government hospitals, is actually 90%. They survive only because health insurance continues to pay them every month. If we take away their credentials, they are gone. And that is how serious we are going.
That was the Chief Executive Officer of the National Health Insurance Authority, Dr. Bernard Okuboy. In some other news, some Ghanaian medical students studying in Ukraine say government and the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat have still not paid their monthly stipends and tuition fees as promised. This comes after the Secretariat promised to release funds this week. The students lament they are still facing threats of expulsion. One of the students, Seth Ofori Nyazu, spoke to City News.
I haven't officially been contacted by the Secretariat since I came to public to play for support and from the Secretariat as in paying my fees and helping me to graduate and writing my exams for that matter. Officially, no one has contacted me or no amount. I insist no amount has been paid to me in respect to my fees especially and other allowances to support me in helping me to pay all my arrears and write my exam to graduate. For my other colleagues, sincerely, I cannot say if any individual has been contacted, but to my knowledge, I don't think any money has been paid to any of my colleagues as well. I'm only pleading specifically in my case because my case is different from any other colleagues. Everybody has his own peculiar issues, and I'm only pleading through your medium to Honorable Kingsley, who is the registrar, and to my coordinator, who is also for the Schengen countries, Honorable Joseph Jabba, and to the international representative that is in the person of Mr. Jemfi, to please come to my aid because I'm in a critical situation. I'm only pleading with them for their benevolence in my situation.
That was a Ghanaian medical student in Ukraine, Seth Ofori Nyazu.
Away from that, the Okada Riders Association says it will be left with no option than to throw its weight behind the political party that assures them of legalizing their operations. The flag bearer of the NDC, John Mahama, in the run-up to the 2020 elections, assured commercial motorists of operationalizing their work despite criticisms from the NPP government. The operations of the riders, although described as risky, receive wide patronage, especially in areas with unmotorable roads. In an interview with City News, the public relations officer for the association, Pascal Sesofia Kwashi, says the Okada business has come to stay, hence the need for the government to regularize the space.
There was engagement with some of the leaderships. For instance, I will say that when the government realized that the reduction of road accidents are going down, I would say it is going. The road accident brought the attention that the National Road Safety have to engage us in one of these stakeholders conversations, which I have seen that has brought a lot of improvement. We always wanted the government to understand the fact that this association, or let's say these motor riders, are here to stay. Especially commercializing it is the best way and the best thing they should do, because regulating it, how do you regulate it if it is not commercialized? We are also going to look at the percentage interest. If the percentage interest feels like, okay, this government is the one who legalized it, and they have to give you the full support, we will do. If it is an opposition person who show more interest and they realize that no, the government in power is not doing anything, we will show that interest.
Pascal Sechafia Kwashi is the Public Relations Officer for the Okada Riders Association.
A total of 6,451 teachers failed the 2023 RISIT Ghana Teacher Licensure Examination for last month. This is according to the National Teacher Council. Giving a statistical breakdown of the results in a Citi News interview, the Public Relations Officer for the Council, Dennis Osei Owusu, indicated that out of the 7,728 teachers who participated in the RISIT exams, only 1,277 passed. He indicated that the outcome of licensure RISIT exams was very concerning to the education sector.
In all, we had 7,728 candidates sitting for the exam. 7,728 of the candidates sat for the examination. And these candidates were all reciters. Reciters, they are people who had written before and they couldn't make it. And it ranges from the least is twice written, and then the highest is 9 times. So these are the group of people who sat for the exam. And out of the 7,728, only 1,277 passed. They are the only people who passed that did not have any deficits again. So that is what and then thus we had, in terms of percentage, 16.5% of them passed the exam. In fact, this issue we are looking at is a national security threat. We are looking at people going to the classroom to train our future generation. And my brother, if I tell you the kind of things some of them are writing, you would just end up by asking what kind of training did they have in their various training institutions before they go here. Everything shows that most of them are not ready to be teachers. They wanted to just explore the system.
Meanwhile, Dennis Osei Owusu has been outlining alternative measures for candidates who failed the licensure RISIT exams.
They still have the opportunity to write once more. But I'm saying once more because we have introduced a reform where the exam, the nature of the exam is going to change. And so they are doing the last one. They are going to be given a last opportunity to write. And if they are not able to make it, then they have to join the reform and pick the exam again. But even with that, those who qualify for the reform are only teachers with bachelor's degree. So if you are still a diplomate and you don't have the bachelor's degree and you want to join the reform or the subject-based GTLE, then you have to upgrade and get a degree before you can come and sit for that one as well. But those with degree already, they can just move to the subject-based GTLE and write when they are not able to redeem themselves. So that is the arrangement we have in place for them.
Dennis Osei Owusu is Public Relations Officer for the National Teaching Council.
You're still listening to the Citi Prime News live on 97.3 Citi FM. Still ahead, week 3 of the Citi Business Festival. We shine a light on the changing face of the Ghanaian retail and consumer market. Do stay with us.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday updates you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
The biggest business festival in Ghana is on. Mark your calendars this June as we bring you the Citi Business Festival 2023. The running theme for this year's festival is Make It Ghana. It's going to be a month-long conversation on how to grow, improve, and expand your business with seasoned industry experts. Join the weekly business forum every Tuesday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. live on Citi TV for discussions on various thematic areas each week, beginning with Week 1, reimagining the digital economy. Week 2, building resilient SME brands. Week 3, the changing phase of the Ghanaian retail market. And week 4, understanding and leveraging agribusiness value chains. Also, tune in every weekday at 9:05 a.m. for the City Business Festival on air series on the City Breakfast Show on 97.3 City FM to acquire the information you need to kickstart and strengthen your business. There will be a lesson for every business on the City Business Festival 2023 this June, only on City TV, 97.3 City FM, citybusinessnews.com, and on CNR Digital. The City Business Festival 2023 is powered by City TV and City FM in partnership with APSA and is proudly sponsored by MTN Momo and MTN Business with support from GESO.
Out of over 10 million Ghanaians employed, only 1.9 million are actively contributing to SNIT. For most people, their retirement plan is either their children or savings. What if your child is unable to care for you? Long life depletes your savings, or you suffer permanent disability. Financial support from loved ones in your old age is a blessing, but you should not rely solely on them. Whether you're a fashion designer, an online entrepreneur, a lawyer, or a business owner, today, life is good, but tomorrow may be different. Register with SNIT and sign up for SEED for old age pension, invalidity pension, and survivor's lump sum benefit for your nominated dependents. Take control of your future. Ayo Udacho, for no pass now. Dial *711*9# to pay your contributions. Contact SNIT on 0302 611 622 or on socials at SNIT Ghana. SNIT, we deliver on our promise. T's and C's apply.
SSNIT. 1xBet Jackpot is here with weekly massive prizes up for grabs. All you have to do is place your bets on any sports game and stand a chance to win. Simply register at 1xbet.com.gh. Use promo code JackpotGhana and place your bets. 1xBet is your key to great victories. Feel like a winner. 1xBet. Gambling can be addictive. Bet responsibly. Not for person under 18 years. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Updates you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back. Now, the Director of Business Banking at APSA Bank, Grace Enim-Yeboah, has stressed the need for stakeholders in the financial space to introduce solutions to support small and medium businesses in the retail space. She explains that the retailing landscape has changed over the last 2 decades and more must be done to ensure the space is not overlooked, as it is important to the economic development of Ghana. She made the remarks on the ongoing third forum of the 2023 City Business Festival, which is looking at how businesses can survive as the Ghanaian retail market space evolves.
The facts are glaring. 60% of all retailing is done in open markets. I think it's a very clear reflection of the dynamics of our economy. All right. And because of that, it's important to think through solutions that serve not just the well-organized, well-structured, but also that 60%, plus the 36% on the corner shops. And in driving the growth for these sectors, obviously the retail sector is not very fixed asset heavy. It's not intense, in capital, in equipment and machinery and stuff like that. So having solutions that are flexible to support their growth is important. And when we come to the funding conversation, I'll be delving deeper because, for example, from the APSA Bank perspective, we're actually able to provide 1 million cedis unsecured for such businesses to be able to scale up, as well as opportunities even for backward integration as we begin to bring in the manufacturing piece of the conversation. But I think that 60% is such a phenomenal number that, we can do something with.
Yeah. Grace Enim-Yeboah is the Director of Business Banking at APSA Bank. The managing partner at Ishmael Yamson and Associates Michael Harry Yamson highlighted the need for businesses in the space to prioritize value addition by introducing technology to make them attractive and competitive.
I think value addition in retail begins with the adoption of technology. Technology that facilitates that process of selling, number one. Technology that makes the retail space more inviting to the consumer. So in other markets, they've researched and done so much to understand what brings you in and keeps you in. Nothing says it cannot happen even in the open markets. But we have a culture that seems to fight the formalization of the open market space. But this is where local government leaders have a huge role to play in whether we succeed or we regress as an economy, to make sure that the formalization of the open markets happen. So let me go back. The adoption of technology. So how do we buy? How do we sell? How do we track sales? How do we capture data about who is buying, what they are buying, so that even in the open market, we can begin to understand better what works. It is that data that then ultimately drives innovation. So what Nielsen does for the upper end, I promise you that is what marketing managers, trade marketing managers, category managers, managing directors sit down, look at, and design solutions. That fantastic product of ABSA, it does not come from nothing. It comes from a deep understanding driven by data. And where we have the least formalized data sets is in that 60%. So there's a huge role to play getting technology into that 60% of the market. That's number one.
That was the managing partner at Ishmael Yamson and Associates, Michael Harry Yamson. This year's edition of the Citi Business Festival is powered by Citi TV and Citi FM in partnership with ABSA and is proudly sponsored by MTN Momo, MTN Business, and ZPay with support from Gersel.
Now, the Member of Parliament for Asamase, Mohamed Mubarak Muntaka, says the country's 1992 constitution only helps in the election of a dictator as a president. The lawmaker contends that the constitution offers the president too much power in the discharge of his duties. His comment follows a concern raised by the majority leader, Osei Chairman-Sabonsu, over the delegation of the vice president as the acting president in the absence of the president.
I'm saying that I don't think that mere absence from the legislation should be construed to mean that the president is not able to perform the functions of his office. He leaves to the United Nations to attend conferences as the president of the republic. How can anybody construe that to mean that the mere fact that he's outside amounts to inability to perform the functions of his office? When he's there, recognizably as the President of the Republic and is performing the functions of the office of the President. And I think that, Mr. Speaker, it should be part of our engagement. The reason why some of us are proposing a holistic review of this Constitution, because there are so many things that really, come to think of it, are incongruous with reality. The President's absence from the Republic does not mean, if it is maybe for medical reasons, his travels outside, he's not able to perform his functions for the time being, maybe lasting 2-3 days. That then could lend credence to this provision. If he goes to perform the functions of his office, in his capacity as the president, and you swear in a new president, an acting president, in other words, then you're having two presidents operating concurrently. And that is not what is envisaged by the Constitution. So I think that as a House, we should apply ourselves critically to this, and then the Speaker make the necessary modifications to this. Unfortunately, Article 60 is part of the entrenched provisions. So even if you want to tinker with it, you must conduct a referendum.
That was Majority Leader Osei Chairman-Sabonsu. In his reaction, Mohamed Mubarak Muntaka called for the implementation of the recommendations by the Constitutional Amendment Commission to address such concerns.
But when it comes to the Constitutional Amendment, Majority Leader, you and I, graciously, you have stayed in this as longer than almost as we speak in this chamber. It's only Honorable Abuka
who can match you as long as you stay in this house. You remember very well the Constitutional Amendment Commission, the work that they have done. I keep asking, what is preventing us as a country from implementing the recommendations? Because since the State Parliament, since 2013, we have virtually iced it. And all of us keep talking about the constitutional amendment. Yet a lot of work has been done. It is just to implement and finish it. And we've left it hanging. And yet all of us keep complaining about it. Are we anticipating another all over a fresh amendment? Because remember what they did was very extensive. They moved region by region. I mean, the document is very voluminous. Let's take steps to make a lot of changes because, the Speaker, I have said, with a greater respect, that the 1992 Constitution that we currently have simply helps us to elect a dictator.
You heard the Member of Parliament for Aswasi, Mohammed Mubarak Muntaka.
Aggrieved customers of defunct gold dealership company Men's Gold have reiterated calls for the Attorney General to cease prosecution of the founder of the firm, Nana Appiah Mensah, also known as Nam1. They have expressed disappointment in how the state is handling the case, and the delay in the prosecution of Nam1 is an indication of the government's lack of commitment to retrieving their monies. The call for the suspension of prosecution of Nam1 comes on the back of comments by the Director General of the Economic and Organized Crime Office, COP Mamitiwa Adodankwa, that highlights difficulties faced by the state in prosecuting Nam1. It has also been about 4 years since Attorney General commenced the prosecution of the CEO of the defunct gold firm, Men's Gold's CEO Nana Appiah Mensah. Speaking to City News, the spokesperson for the Coalition of Aggrieved Customers of Men's Gold, Frederick Forson, says the government should rather focus on paying their locked-up funds and suspend the criminal prosecution of Nam1.
This Men's Gold matter involving Nam1 has been on for the past 4 years. The last time they went to court was the 35th time that the case was adjourned. And so one can clearly say that the government is not committed. And we have been calling on them that you take care of our payment first. And we believe that it is possible. Because the criminal, whether there's a criminal prosecution or no criminal prosecution, there is the need for the customers to be paid. And our conclusion is based on the existing facts, i.e. what the boss of Yoko said last year, that they do not know or they do not see the law that Nam1 broke. And so prosecuting Nam1 has become very difficult. Now, if the office that is key in assessing information for this criminal prosecution has come out to see this, we do not see why the Attorney General thinks that he can go ahead and prosecute the gentleman when the very institution that is supposed to feed you with information for the criminal prosecution is saying that they cannot do it. So we are using this medium once again to call on the Attorney General to back down and stop throwing gas into our eyes, that they are doing something and ensure that customers are paid. As we speak, we have sent a letter under the Right to Information Act since last year requesting for disclosures on the money they realized from the sale of Nam1 asset. And as we speak, the Attorney General has not been able to give us. Last Thursday, I was even in the office. Countless reminders of the letter that we sent has yielded no fruits.
You heard the spokesperson for the Coalition of Aggrieved Customers of Men's Gold, Frederick Forson.
The leadership of the Kumasi Kejitia market is set to petition the Minister of Local Government on the way forward after the recent fire incident. On March 15 this year, parts of the Kejitia market went up in flames, destroying properties worth thousands of cedis. The committee that was set up to investigate the incident in its report, among other things, recommended that the portion of the market that was most affected by the fire should be closed for further assessment and an integrity test. But the traders lament that after several months of closure of some of their shops, they have been neglected. In an interview with City News, the chairman of the Combined Traders of KJTIA, Nana Prempe, disclosed that some traders had become jobless as a result of the neglect, hence the need for the petition.
It's been almost 2 months now since the committee submitted its report to the local honorable local government minister. We haven't heard anything from the ministry yet. We had the opportunity of meeting the board chairman, who also happens to be the mayor of Kumasi, but he tells us it's the minister's committee, so unless the minister acts on it, he cannot do otherwise. But the reason why we will be petitioning the office is because up to now, 52 shops that were burnt, our members who were owning those shops are still in the house. They don't know their fates, when the reconstruction will be started, the duration is going to take, and who is going to bear the cost. And even as they are in the house, they are not getting support, any governmental support to sustain them to the reconstruction of the place. And there are other several issues, especially the firefighting equipment in the market that were not functional during the inferno. We are afraid that in case something happens same like it did.
Nana Prempe is the chairman of the Combined Traders of KJTIA.
And that's it for today's edition of the Citi Prime News, which has been live from our studio here in Adabraka in Accra. My name is Eno Safo, and I was here with
Charles Owusukumi.
For more news, do log on to our website, citynewsroom.com. Up next is the afternoon's edition of the City Business News with Nathalie Netiajaho. Many thanks for tuning in.